Hello and welcome to Account Fundamentals, part of our Canvas admin series. In order to complete today's session, you will need to access your beta account. The beta instance is copied over every Saturday to mirror your current live production environment. This is updated every 3 weeks with beta features outlined in the product release notes. To have a successful experimentation with your environments, export the content to your live environment. Instructors and students can access beta 2 if informed and given permission in the settings. Test out new features and create how-to videos of upcoming changes for your staff and students. You can join us for the Canvas Live weekly chats every Wednesday after the beta release to discuss synchronously with other admins about those new tools. In this session, we will discuss account structure, sub-accounts, terms, courses, and sections. Go and review permissions, account role versus course roles, and enrollments. Then finish off with account settings, talk about notifications, apps, and feature options. Let's start with the account structure. A lot of the components all go into sub-accounts. So we really want you to focus on setting up your instance with proper sub-accounts and why they're awesome. First, it allows you organizational structure. If you have a SIS or student information system, you want this to mirror that account structure. It also allows you to designate specific roles and permissions per each account, designated reports and analytics, and you can share specific resources for those accounts. Sub-account structure starts at the root and trickles down into the different types of departments you would like to have within your account. So we can start here and then move into an engineering department. And below the engineering department or engineering group, if you will, you can have subgroups, the science group, the chemistry group, and so forth. And then that is completely separated by a different group, a nursing group that could have the microbiology beneath it and physiology underneath that. And these are all separated with their own rules, roles, permissions, shared resources, and so on. Let's jump into our account to talk about this a little bit further. Go ahead and log into your Canvas instance. At this time, I will be going into my own instance, and just to show you, I am in my beta instance. You can tell that you're in beta because you will get this is a Canvas test installation bar to appear on the bottom of your screen. That's how you can tell you are in the beta instance, and it will also be displayed in your URL. In the global navigation, you can go into your admin account by selecting the admin shield and opening up your instance. For me, it is this one right here. Once you have selected it, it will open up this screen that you are looking at. All screens will look slightly different, but this is where you will then come in and review all of those items. From here, you can go into your sub-accounts. So each and every sub-account has this item that you can open. and you'll be able to review all of the sub-accounts in your instance. Here at the top area, notice you have the root account. This is what your named instance will be after. And below, there is an invisible indentation that you will notice right away. As soon as you create an additional sub-account, you will be able to see that they live below the root account. In this space, you can easily create sub-accounts by selecting the plus button. Notice on the right-hand side, you have the close or hide sub-accounts, add a new sub-account, edit the account name, or remove. Please be very mindful of deleting because it will remove the sub-accounts that are below it. Notice when I select that arrow, it changes direction and it hides all of my sub-accounts below that. This is really nice to use whenever you have larger sub-accounts, like these examples I have displayed. I can close those up and see which structures I have created so far. In this demo, you notice that I have separated it by the way I create content for different institutions. So here I have a school district, a university, professional development. So dependent on your specific unique case, you'll be able to go in and organize it in the way that works best for your institution. Here, I'm able to create different programs or different degrees, online versus face-to-face, and I can go then further and create even more sub-accounts beneath those in this space. You can easily do that by clicking the plus button. And let's just say this is going to now be a science program. Once I type in, you need to press enter, and that sub-account will be added to that space. If I select the sub-account here at the upper level, right above these below, you'll notice in the breadcrumb trail where you are within your account. Here is the main root account, the sub-account below that, and the courses that are in that sub-account. Here are all the courses that live within the psychology sub-account. And I can always select sub-accounts from this sub-account menu, and I'll be able to see all of the sub-accounts structured within this account. So this will go into the overall understanding of roles with our permissions, our shared resources with rubrics and outcomes, item banks or question banks. You can easily share those at this account level, and they will not go up into other accounts. So why is this important? One of the biggest pieces is that you may want to create permissions for a sub-account admin of only this program. And this will allow them to have access to the account and courses within that sub-account, but they cannot go back up the tree. So this allows you to be very specific, and it's very nice to set up in this way so that you can customize those permissions for your users. A couple of reasons for having sub-account administrators. Consider assigning users as admins only to that sub-account, as I mentioned, for which they are responsible for. This could be a blueprint administrator, a counselor, a dean, an instructional designer. Different reasons for different sub-accounts can be customized with those roles and permissions. In order to add someone as a sub-account admin, you will go back into that sub-account that you want to be in. In this case, I'm in this one. And I can scroll down to the settings of that sub-account. Once I'm there, I'll be able to go up to the admins area. And here is where I can now add an account admin in my account. So once I select plus account admin, I can go down and see all of my other roles that I've created for account level roles. And these are all inherited by the root account or the account above it. Wherever you've created, as long as it's above the account that you're in, they'll be able to inherit those permissions. Also notice the naming convention. This is called an account admin, and it could be a little misleading. However, because you are already in a sub-account, this is technically a sub-account admin. They will not have root level access, so you never have to worry. In here, I can type out anyone's name, or you can type out anyone's email. Notice the sample format below of how you can type that out in this space. There's my email, and I can continue. And you wouldn't need to do this one by one, but you could if you needed to. And there is my account admin for this program. Now, when it comes to your users in the Canvas account, they all live at the root. So anytime you want to upload in bulk and then go into and enroll, everyone lives at the root account until they are actually enrolled in a course for that sub-account, or they have been added as an account admin for whichever permission you've designated to those specific sub-accounts, just as I showed. At this time, feel free to pause and create a sub-account and add a sub-account within the sub-account as we created in the step 1. Let's continue to terms. Terms are where the course lives, if that makes sense. It's how long the course will live inside of that account. So if you need to designate date ranges, each role can have a specific designated range that controls the content. And I'm speaking to people here, meaning students, when can they access this course at a specific time, as well as instructors of the course who are enrolled. Canvas can conclude courses in mass after the term end date is reached. So it's really how once it's gone to the end of the term, the courses then go into an archived state, which is one of the best things to do. Here's a great example of one of those permissions that is not available at the sub-account level. You do not see the terms link within that sub-account. You have to be a root account admin to access terms. Now, in this space, a couple of examples here. Notice with my terms, I can see when the term runs and who has access to those terms that is enrolled for the course. You only have 4 base permissions: students, teachers, TAs, teachers' assistants, and designers. These are the 4 base roles that you will use to create new permissions for anyone who is enrolled in a course. And you'll know that a little bit more in the later part of the session. Terms, course dates, and section dates all work together within a course, but there is a hierarchy to these dates. Course dates overrides term dates, and section dates overrides both term and course dates. Enrollments are concluded and courses are turned into a read-only state. That is that archived structure I was mentioning. Quizzes can still be reviewed unless the option to restrict has been enabled, which we will talk about in the settings. Content visibility can be controlled by account admins, sub-account admins, and instructors to allow flexibility. Courses, people, and analytics can all be filtered by terms. And one of the biggest reasons why terms are so useful for admins of an account. Now, there is a default term available. You can also, once you start getting many terms, you now have access to this search bar that lets you search for a specific term. The default term is set for you and it's open for anything. This is a great term to use for professional development, communication through Canvas with outside instance capabilities, especially if it's connected to a rolling enrollment, things like that, clubs, teams. These are great to use for default because they last whenever. They don't start and they don't end. It's just open whenever. If you need to add a new term, you can click the Add New Term button and it will allow you to create a term in the account. So the term naming convention is also very important. This could be fall of 2023 to 2024. And this is one of the many tools that allows you to generate a SIS ID right away. In the term runs, this is when the term starts and ends. So here we can place a date. Let's say it starts October 1st and ends, let's do 1 year from now and just change it to 2024 on the same date. When do you want students to access the course? So if you don't want them to access it before the term runs, you can leave any of these blank. And it will then add the term, and students cannot access it until the term begins, and they will lose access when the term ends. Notice that the teacher, TA, and designer roles, however, have access to it whenever to begin, but they lose access in a read-only state and until the term ends. So just depends on when you want them to access those courses is how you would set up your terms. Everything in Canvas can be designated or flagged with that unique ID number, that SIS ID. You can do batch uploads to make this easier for you by using the comma separated values or CSV uploads through the sys import tool. So anytime you want to make bulk changes, you can use this tool to your advantage. Also notice in the sub-account structure, I just want to briefly review this. Let's go down to the one we created. If I go to this program here, I can scroll down into the settings of that sub-account, and you'll also notice that this sub-account has a unique identifier. If you are creating each of your sub-accounts manually, you will have to go into each of those sub-account settings and designate a SIS ID. This is recommended if you ever want to make account changes, meaning move them around, reorganize them to a different order. So let's say I wanted to move this program to be underneath this program instead. You would only be able to do that if the program sub-account had a SIS ID. Notice when I open the science programs and I go into the settings here of that account, since I just created it, it does not have a SIS ID. Very important. So be mindful of that as you are building your accounts and your terms. So again, for this next activity, we need to be a root level admin to do this. Select the root and open your terms. Go ahead and manually create a term, and don't forget that SIS ID. Continuing into courses. Courses can be created anywhere inside of your account. If we go into the sub-account structure, I can go down to that program that we created here below. And I can click the plus course button within that sub-account to create new courses that will live in that account. When you click the plus course, you'll be able to designate a course name and a reference code. This can be the same as the course name or a shortened version of that. And it will allow you to select the sub-account where you want this to live in. Note, if you're at the root, you will get a longer list to choose from. And there we go, the enrollment term. So notice if you built any of these, right? There is our fall 23-24 term that we created, we can then add the course to that term and create that course right there. You can also create this using the sys import tool. Be mindful that this can only be done here at the root in the sys import space. That is a root admin only function. Now you can build several courses. So let's say I call this Biology 101, and let's call this section 1.0. You can make as many different courses that allow different sections of that course. If I open the course, and notice here, because I'm in the admin side of things, I can access the settings for those courses right away. So if I open these up, the settings of each course, just to show you a couple of things, notice that there is no sys-ID here. This is going to be very important later down the road. Again, the same as having an account sys-ID, you will want to have a course sys-ID as well. Here is the course. And notice here is the name, course name, but the sys-ID is not there. You can manually import a sys-ID if you like, or again, using the sys import tool when you're creating these courses, you can do this in bulk. There is the term. Notice that it is grayed out so that instructors cannot change this. Now, an instructor can go in and recall, we talked about course start and end dates. This overrides the term start and end date. Here, the instructor can change when it starts and when it ends for the students, and you can designate restrictions, meaning students cannot view a course before the course start date, and they cannot view the course after the end date. Back at the top, this is what I wanted to focus on, was the course sections. In the course, you will note that you have sections designated for your courses. This is where you can combine your different sections with the cross-listing features. I'm just going to open up a couple of courses here for you that have sections in them, so you can see what I'm referring to. And they do need someone enrolled in the course first before you do this. So let me open up some courses here. That have students enrolled in them. All right, so notice here that first section, once someone is enrolled, will be displayed here. And you can also merge sections into different courses, which is what we're talking about next. If I click on that section, notice that you will see who is enrolled, and I can edit the section. And here's where you can add a sys ID for that section. Again, if you have a student information system that does this work for you, then you never have to worry about the sys ID. It automatically gets added. But here's where we spoke about in the terms that sections can be overridden of the term, right? Override course and term availability if you need flexibility for students to access the course during a specific start and end date time. So when it comes to a non-cross-listed example for courses, this is whenever you merge together multiple courses for each section. So this is ideal if it's the same content, right? You have 10 sections of biology and they're all going to learn the same material, but they do all of their learning at different times of the week or in that day. So if you have an hour 1, hour 2, hour 3 style course, all same content, each one has a designated section with enrolled users inside that section. You can then take that same 3 separate courses that are created and merge each section into one course. And they will all have the same term assigned to them. A couple of pros and cons. Some pros are the inbox messaging system and announcements can be sent to individual sections. Assignment due dates can also be differentiated by section. Gradebook can be filtered as well per section. Some cons are the modules. Modules cannot be split up by section. So everyone in the course will see every published module. And the only things that can be limited to a specific section within a module would be the assignments. Now let's talk a little bit about permissions. Permissions are how the instructor or student is enrolled in the course. Again, remember, all users and people live at the root level. Once they are enrolled in the courses, they will be able to access their specific section for that course and so forth. So let's open up our admin account and talk about permissions here a moment. Inside the root, you will notice that you have the permissions here at the top. You can select that. And you have 2 options. You have course roles, meaning you have to be enrolled in a course in order to access these permissions. Versus account roles, this is designated for administrators, which generates the admin shield for that user, and they do not need to be enrolled in a course to access those permissions that they've been assigned. Inside of the course role space, you have 5 pre-built roles. You also have the ability to create any custom roles as desired by selecting the Add Role button. You can create course facilitators, students, instructors, adjuncts, tutors, and base it off of a designated role that we've already created for you. Notice here I can type in assistant professor, and I can choose the base type from the 5 pre-designated roles inside of this area. It will then assume the same permissions of that base type. And I can save that, and it will create a new role with those same permissions. This then allows me to work backwards and remove any permission that I don't want them to have. Like, I don't wish for the assistant professor to send individual messages to students, so I'm going to disable that, as well as individual messages to the entire class. I want that to be a full professor role. So you can disable it right there. Now, when you see the permissions here, and let's say grading, you have the enable, disable, lock, or use default functions. The lock means that someone with the same level of permissions would need to make any changes, and this locks it for the sub-account. Leaving it unlocked would allow other limited use admins could change those settings in their own sub-accounts. Now, account roles is the account admin comes in. You can create any role that you like. So again, at the root level, you have root account access to the entire account. And there are a couple of permissions that are just for root account admins. If you type in user at the root level, you'll notice that only a root account admin can act as or masquerade as that person in the people area. As soon as I come into a sub-account and I go to permissions and I look up the account role for user, so this is a sub-account admin, note that that permission is no longer available. Thus, one of the many reasons, as soon as you are in a sub-account, the account admin role is technically a sub-account admin role. They do not have full access to everything that you have access to. In this space, you also can create a role, and dependent on where you are, remember, the root is one of the best places to do this in because all sub-accounts inherit these permissions. Now, when you create an account admin role, it does not have a base type. So here, let's say you want to create an instructional designer role and save. You now have to manually select each and every permission you wish for them to have access to. How do you know which permissions are the best to use? Well, you can close that menu and you can select each of these permissions. Notice they are hyperlinked. If I click on this, the permission tool will open up and it will tell me what it does. Notice the caret icon I can select, and it will tell me that this allows the admin to add or remove admins and access to the commons space. If this is a permission you wish to add to that particular new role, you can enable it here and continue. Some permissions as well have an additional considerations tab. So you have the what it does. Oh, you can create announcements. And what are some additional considerations? Oh, you might need to have access to global announcements. So if you want the administrator to have access to announcements, you'll want to add those permissions to it as well. Now, other ones are more specific, right? This gives you access to publish course content, but some additional tools are required, meaning if courses, managed courses are available, they need to be able to access the admin tools and view grades in the gradebook. So that's how you can tell which permissions need to be turned on along the way for specific roles that you are customizing in your account. You can take a look in the chat for the Canvas course roles and permissions. As well as the account roles and permissions. Now, once you have created your designated roles, again, how do you add them to and give permission to those users? First, recall when we talked about an account role. Once it's created, you can then go to that sub-account. Again, be mindful, root admins always go to that sub-account that you need to be in. I can go down to that sub-account and select the settings of that account where I want that person to live and select the admin button at the top. And here's where you go and select account admin, or notice my instructional designer role that I just created is visible here as well. And then you'll be able to type in their email or their sys ID and press continue, and it will add them into the account. However, how do you add course roles? This is all through the enrollment tool. So you have to go inside of the course that you want. Again, be mindful that you can do this with a bulk sys imports. So I can go into my biology course. Recall that I have the settings opened here, right? And I can go into the people and add them in this way. Or I can select the plus button. I wouldn't even have to open the course. I can select the plus button right here in the admin space. And this will allow me to add my users to that course, whoever I need to enroll in the course. Note that those users must live in the account first before you do it. All right, so in here, you can add users by email, login ID, or sys ID. I tend to use the sys ID tool the most. Here, I can then add any users in my account, and notice I just place them right below each other, and I can add them in bulk in this way. If you have all of their email addresses, then this is also how you can add in bulk enrollment to the course. Next, you have which role you want to use. And here, notice you have the base roles, but also the custom roles that you created. So if you needed a particular person in this group to be a different role, you would have to add them in separately. So when you're doing it in bulk, it needs to be the same role being selected. And then you can select next, and it will pull up all of those users in the account, where they live, and you can add them in. Once you add them in, you will notice right here what you just added. So here in this science program course, I added 10 students. If I open up that course and I select the people tab, I'll be able to see who was enrolled. I could have also done it here from the course and done the same thing. If you needed to add an instructor, you can easily do that by typing in, right, their email. And not forgetting to change the role and press next. It will find that user and add them to the course, and you'll see the separation here in teacher versus student. There you go. Again, if you look at the roster of that course, you will be able to see and search by role. I have 1 instructor and 10 students. So I could easily filter that as well from here inside of the course. Go ahead and take a moment to check out the default course permissions and account permissions and create a custom role. Continuing, we will jump in to our account settings. In the admin shield, we will go back. Here at the root account, you can access your account settings by scrolling down on the left-hand side and accessing the settings button. This will always be in the bottom left of your account navigation. All of these links are part of your account navigation space. Remember that each of these settings areas will look different for sub-accounts. So if I go back to my online degree sub-account and I select the settings there, notice the difference. I don't have as much material in the settings area. I also don't have as many items here at the top to choose from. Unlike at the administrative level, I have a little bit more access to things, and it looks slightly different in terms of the changes for the whole account. Let's start here at the root and talk a little bit about the top settings that you have available. Here you can change the account name, language, and time zone. Very important to ensure that your default time zone is set to where you live in your account. If you live in Central and it's set to Eastern, this does affect due dates. So you need to be mindful of that. Now, users can change the language and time zone settings on their individual account level. Meaning if I'm a student and I live in Central, but my institution lives in Eastern, I can select my account and go to my settings and change it for me personally here so I can see the time difference and plan accordingly. The default due time is also very important. It's usually set to everyone due at 11:59 p.m. Note that instructors can change this to their designated due time, so they don't have to change it every time. Down in the allow self-enrollment, you have a couple of options here. The self-enrollment tool option is specific to users within the institution and can be set to never, all, or manually created courses. The HTTP refer option allows accounts to have custom login pages hosted on different domains, but still keep the authenticity token. The Canvas login page includes an authenticity token that it submits with the form. This is to prevent cross-site request forgery attacks, adding another layer of secure handshake. Admins, you can add additional trusted HTTPS sites to your account. Below is the default view for dashboard. Admins, you can select what this is for new users in the account. The setting defaults to the card view unless otherwise changed to recent activity. New users can change their dashboard view at any time in the menu. Once a user has selected a different view, the default no longer applies. Going down to the access check boxes here, you can opt in or out of the selections, and note this is for the entire account, unless specified for sub-accounts. By default, when a student receives a notification about a score, they must log into Canvas to see it, and this helps institutions remain FERPA compliant. So this setting right here, students can opt in to receiving scores. This is a very important by default setting turned on for you. Now, there are multiple layers as to how much access you want students to have before and after courses have been concluded, meaning with the term set for that course. So you can restrict students from viewing quiz questions, from accessing courses before the start date. You can also lock this setting for sub-accounts and courses, and also restrict students from viewing future courses, and you can lock these for your sub-accounts. Restrict students from accessing courses after the end date. You also have access to a new tool that allows you to restrict view of quantitative data. That means it will not allow the student to see the qualitative data, which includes letter grades and comments. Disable comments on announcements. Mastery paths have moved from the feature option tool to account and course settings. Anytime you see a setting here, instructors have permission, unless you have locked it down, to change those settings in their courses. For example, mastery paths. If I go into my settings of this course, as an instructor, I can go in my course detail settings and switch that off if I did not want to use it, because it is not locked for the sub-account. So if I went here and locked this for my sub-account and courses, that instructor would not be able to or deselect it. The allow students to download course content and view offline feature allows students to download course content via the modules tab. It includes sidebar information and media files. However, this does not allow the student to submit any assignments or view or complete assessments with quizzes. It is just viewing content if they lose access to the internet. Allow gradebook users to view and export student first and last name in separate columns is also a really great feature to turn on. Scrolling down, you have the ability to turn on personal pronouns. Here you can enable those and allow users to change their pronouns in Canvas. And you can also designate available pronouns by default for them to choose from. The quiz IP address filters here. You can add IP addresses of computer labs or testing centers. Instructors will be able to pull from a list of IP addresses when creating quizzes. Now to our features in the settings. One of the best ones to have turned on for your sub-accounts is let sub-accounts use a theme editor for their own customized branding. So each sub-account, let's say you have different companies, different departments that have different color theming, they could then organize it to be different. Note here how this theme is different than this theme. That is how they can use the theme editor to customize their own themes. So let me open that up for you here. And here is where you can create themes, have different ones set, and that is where they can create their own by using the templates or creating their own theme. Open registration here allows the instructors with the appropriate permissions to add students to a course using their email addresses, even if the student doesn't already have a Canvas account. When this feature is disabled, instructors cannot add students if a Canvas account has not already been created for the student. Some user options here, right? Edit their name, profile, edit their communication channels. Are some great tools for users, right? Note the users can edit communications channel option disables the option for users to add additional email addresses in the account. Here you can also set up analytics, avatars, and enable the gravatar option to enable and disable it at the account level. And that's if you want them to be able to load a gravatar to their account. Now, the analytics feature was added to all production environments as a feature option. And you'll note that you don't have to turn this on because you should be seeing admin analytics in your admin navigation menu. Going down to the help menu here, here's where you can change how your help menu looks, meaning the help menu on the global navigation. When you click on that, how do you want everything to be? And what order do you want it to be in? You can change the search the canvas guides to be different. You can move these into different orders, and you can change the help icon and the help title. You can do this here in the help dialog menu. You can change the name, change the icon, change the links that are available. You can move these up and down by selecting the up and down arrows. If you needed to make any changes to any of these links, you can select the pencil icon and it will allow you to change the name and the description. Many of these links are pre-done for you, and you cannot change the links to avoid any loss of pre-made information. Here you can customize who has access to those links, and if you'd like for this to be a featured option, you can do that at the top and provide a headline. In the plus link button, you'll see all of your previously predetermined links available. So these are the ones I was referring to that you cannot change the URLs for. However, if you needed to, you could add a custom link and name, and that is how you can insert your own IT help desk link for users at your institution. Scrolling down. Here is where you can also enable some web services. Add a course template. So if you have designated a course as a template for the account, this is where you can designate that course as a template for any new courses being created. Lastly, who has access to create a course? Here you can allow instructors to create a course and allow creation anywhere the user has active enrollments. This is very important so that the instructor creates that course where the term is currently active. This is to do seamless cross-listing without any issues. If you don't need instructors to create courses within a live active term, you can allow them to create it using the manually created courses subaccount. Note that if a term is not applied to this subaccount or these courses, it will be the default term that is applied. So be very mindful of that. As you make any changes on your settings page, you must select at the bottom the Update Settings button. Go ahead and take a moment to review your help dialog and pop-up menu. Add an item to the help menu and once saved, we will continue here at the top in the settings to notifications. In the notification space, everyone is designated a notification ID that is created within Canvas. You'll notice here is the reply ID that everyone will receive. By default, these emails will come from Instructure, sorry about that, Instructure Canvas notifications@instructure.com with that reply to ID. This helps us remain FERPA compliant, so no personal information is sent from Canvas to personal emails, and so forth. We always highly recommend customizing your email notifications so they come from your institution, even though it is from Instructure notifications email. The pop-up option below allows users will have to agree that they know notifications they are sending to other channels may contain private information. Always customize this for your instance and update those settings. Go ahead and change your email notification from branding and update. Next, we have our applications. Applications in Canvas are called LTIs, Learning Tool Interoperability. The App Center here has over 500 plus possible tools that you can access. This is a great space for you to look and see any new applications that are available for you to add to your account. You can add in any free app that you have available, like YouTube, or Vimeo. I've already installed YouTube, so I'm going to go ahead and install Vimeo to show you how the free tools work. You'll be able to select and note that there are no additional comments on how to add it. You can click the Add App button, and there's no key or shared secret that needs to be installed. I can simply add the app, and it will be added to my account here for users to access. Now, when it comes to something like Google or Office 365, just going to go back to the all and search for them there. Oh, let's do Office then. There you go. Whenever you see an app like Office or another tool that you prominently use, it may require some additional integration, and you will need to read the instructions on this page to find out more. Notice there are sometimes installation instructions available. If you are the Canvas administrator, you can generate a key and shared secret to install the tool here. You really need to find these hyperlinks so that you can configure your apps. If I select this and open it, you'll notice that I can generate a key and shared secret to install the app. I can easily generate that and copy the key, return to Canvas, select Add App, and I can paste it in. Go back to that same page and copy the secret and go back and paste it in. And once you're ready, you can then add the app and it will install just like this. There are other ways to install apps through the developer keys. You can see the developer keys here at the root account. You can easily access those. In here, you'll be able to view all inherited keys in the account. Once you show all keys, you'll be able to search through here for any specific keys that you want to focus on. Something like Google. Here is the Google tool. And all you would have to do is toggle this on. This one's off, this one is on, and copy this client ID. This will then allow you to come back to your apps. And instead of adding the app by searching, you will go to the app configurations page. This then allows you to add the app here by using different options: manual entry, by URL, XML, client ID, or LTI registration. Because I have the client ID, I can select that and paste it in and submit, and it will add my app to that space. And now users can access that tool. At this time, think about the LTI tools you would like instructors to or would commonly use, and add a few tools to your account. Next, we have our feature options. In the feature options space, you can turn off institution level or account level features for everyone in the account. You can search through here for any new feature preview options like admin analytics, course pacing, new quizzing features, and you can enable them for everyone at the account level on the right-hand side. Certain features allow you to keep them locked or unlocked. This allows the user to disable this feature if it's unlocked, versus locked does not allow them to disable it for their account or course. Like the embedded release notes, this allows the user of the account to see in the help menu any new release notes for upcoming updates to the account. If someone does not wish to receive this information, they cannot turn that off on their end if this is locked down. You can scroll through here and view any of our cool features available, like the rich content editor icon maker is a great tool to enable for all instructors. Below the account level permissions and features, you have the course level features. So these only pertain to inside of a course, like the assignment enhancements. These are a great tool to turn on and test out with instructors. You have anonymous instructor annotations, anonymous grading, and many more features available. Feel free to explore these and see which ones will work best with your institution. One of my favorite tools is to search by name, or I can filter all disabled so that I know which ones I have not turned on for the course level permissions. One of my favorites is the quiz log auditing. This is definitely something I want my instructors to see so they can see how students are doing on their assessments when they take them. I want to thank you so much for participating in our account fundamentals session today. You can earn this badge for watching this training, or click on the link in the chat. Again, thank you so much. For any questions regarding this training session, please reach out to your Canvas admin or your customer success manager.